Welcome to another episode of Chad Sports Talk. You don't know, my name's Chad. Take a dive, world of sports. Welcome to week 17 of the NFL. This is my NFL pick and preview video. We're right now getting close to the very end. This is going to be a lot of these games coming up will have playoff elimination status to them. You know, when to keep your hopes alive and lose, you prepare for the draft. Possibilities of other things happening. Big Ben's already announced this is his last game in Heinz Field, so he's going to hang up the cleats at the end of the season after a long career. Aaron Rodgers' career in Green Bay is still in question. We still have a bunch of positive cases floating out there. Wentz is out. Kirk Cousins, at the time I started recording this video, has been tested positive. So, you know, these two Colts and Vikings are now without their star quarterback. How's that going to affect their performance? So everything's kind of churning along, and teams are trying to best adapt to these particular situations. Right now, there's no games being postponed or anything like that. So we'll just kind of dive into the picks and previews. But before we do that, if you could go ahead and smash that thumbs up for me, especially like the content I bring. Please do YouTube guys, that promotes this channel. When you do that, you can also subscribe. A lot of you guys review my videos, and I love you all for that. But that many of you subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime. It helps me provide more content for you. We dive into these week's picks. I'll let you know last week I actually went 10-6, so back-to-back weeks of double wins. Not quite, what I expected, but a very good performance nevertheless. And, it's just one of those things. I picked some good ones, and some games kind of went the other direction. And just go ahead and kick this off. As you realize, there's no Thursday night game. There's no Saturday games. It's Sunday and Monday, the last Monday night game of the season, at least the regular season. And let's go ahead and kick this off. And Western New York as the Bills host the Falcons. The Bills right now looking to try to solidify their claim as the AFC East champions. Right now they get the slight edge against the Patriots. And they, like I said, host the Falcons. It's just a team that just struggles constantly throughout the season, but they find ways to win. And they struggle against Detroit. Last week when they're using their backup quarterback, and Buffalo is just one of these teams you just cannot struggle against. They will take advantage of you. Josh Allen is 10 times better than Matt Ryan. Game will probably be different. Matt Ryan was in his prime, but this is going to be a close contest right now. Buffalo's favored by 14.5. Yeah. It's definitely going to be a one-sided affair, all Bills. Next up, we'll head to the Windy City as the Bears will play host to the Giants. Two teams vying for position in the draft order. The Bears don't have a first-round pick anyway, so they don't really care. And the Giants are just a hot mess. Daniel Jones is benched for the season. Is a Glennon, is a Fromm going to be the starter. Barkley's not really the running back he was touted to be because of injuries. Plagued him throughout his career. Giants defense will definitely make this interesting, but I think the Bears will end up winning. Right now, the Bears are favored by 6. It's definitely going to be closer than that, but the Bears will win. And a huge showdown right there in the jungle of Cincinnati, where the Bengals will play host to Kansas City. These are between two powerhouse teams right now in the AFC. And the Chiefs trying to maintain that grip on the number 1 seed to get that first round bye. And Cincinnati always seems to play well against teams that are really good. And the Chiefs struggle with teams that are really good. But the Chiefs right now are riding high. 8-game winning streak going into Cincinnati. And Kelsey should be back. So it'll be the full complement of whoopery for Mahomes. Joe Burrow should have his full complement of weapons as well. It is the Kansas City front that's going to probably be the deciding factor. If they can get in the backfield and disrupt Joe Burrows, that's it. It's going to hamper a lot of things that Cincinnati offense does. And I actually debated back and forth with this because I see the same thing happening with Cincinnati's front. If they go back there and disrupt Mahomes and make him do what he did earlier in the season, as make a lot of silly mistakes, throwing the ball where he shouldn't be throwing it. And I went back and forth on this decision. I almost went with Cincinnati, but I'm going to give it to Kansas City. Right now, Kansas City's favored by 4.5. I think it's going to be closer than that. This is going to be a very tight contest. Kansas City's not going to put the huge offensive numbers they have been on this amazing run they've been doing. But it's going to be a lot closer contest, and Kansas City's going to edge out Cincinnati. All right, next off, we have the Music City, where the Titans are going to host the Dolphins. Right now, if the playoffs started now, the Dolphins are the number 7 seed, and they'll be in the playoffs. And this Miami team is actually really good. They have a really good, solid defense. Their offense is efficient, but they don't dazzle. They don't throw up the numbers like I think a lot of people thought they would, especially with Tua and Waddle together again. And they're not quite, they're not quite there yet, but definitely a pairing you want to keep an eye on. And Tennessee, even though they've been depleted with injuries and other things, they still find ways to make themselves win and still be, in a hunt for that South Division crown. And it's just one of these weird type of things where it's just like the next man up for them. And with this one, I also debated which way to go because I went against Tennessee last week and they came up and won because of their injuries they've had. They could possibly do it again this week. I think this is where this is one of these games being my sun split because of this particular aspect. And once again, I'm going to get Variable at home, and I'm going to take the Dolphins to win in Nashville. Go ahead to Indianapolis as the Colts will play host to the Raiders. And like I mentioned earlier in this video, Wentz is out. He tested positive. He's not going to be back. They actually reached out to Phillip Rivers to come in and possibly play. That's a gutsy call there. I'll let you know Frank Wright doesn't trust the quarterback behind Wentz at all. So now you got this rookie third quarterback coming in who has no faith from his head coach. So his confidence is already shot. Against a Raiders team that's fighting to maintain themselves, to maintain the hunt for the playoffs. And this is definitely one of those games you have to really worry about. Jonathan Taylor's going to put a lot of pressure on him to run, and I'm sure he will have fun doing so. And that Colts defense is nothing to take lightly in this aspect. But with that quarterback issue, right now the Colts are favored by 7 because I think just mainly because of the running attack and the defense. But I am going to go on a limb and have the Raiders shock the Colts in Indy. Then we have to New England, where the Patriots play host to Jacksonville, and Bill Belichick loves rookie quarterbacks, so Trevor Lawrence is going to have a long day up there. New England needs to get back on the winning ways, especially getting embarrassed last week at home by Buffalo. They're going to look to assert their dominance at home, and they're going to make sure they knock off Jacksonville in this one. They're favored by, currently right now, 16. I don't think it'll be that much. I think it'll at least be probably about 14. So, yeah, definitely New England. And then Tom Brady will take the Buccaneers into MetLife, and he'll face off against a former foe, the Jets, and take on the rookie Zach Wilson. The Jets is a team that I think has the right coach in mind. They get the right quarterback, I believe. They just need to work on the offensive line and maybe a few weapons for him, and this Jets offense will take off. But Tampa Bay's right now trying. They're on the hunt, sitting there behind Green Bay for that number 1 seed in the NFC. So we're definitely going to look at that aspect, and it's going to be all Tampa all day. Right now they're favored by 13. They're going to at least win by that. And then Philadelphia head down to the nation's capital, take on Washington, and Washington got embarrassed last week in Dallas. Dallas just picked them apart defensively, offensively, special teams wise. And Philadelphia is one of these weird teams that struggle early and then just pour it on. They did it last week. They had a very slow start, and then they finished it off. You can't do it in the playoffs. You can do it against these weaker NFC East teams like the Giants and Washington, but I think it's going to happen here again. I think Washington will jump out early, and then Philadelphia's going to just battle back. Jalen Hurts is starting to develop his own right as a quality receiver in Philadelphia, and he's got some young pieces around him to make things happen. So I can see that that trend continue. I really hope that Philadelphia doesn't draft another quarterback and then just put their faith in Jalen Hurts next year to really see how things go. But I think Philadelphia will knock out Washington out of the playoffs and have their hopes continue. Then the Rams will head down to Baltimore. Lamar Jackson's been trying to practice, but if you've seen some of these films of him practicing, he's limping extremely bad. I don't think he's going to start this weekend, and I think the chances of Baltimore making the playoff rest on Lamar Jackson, and I said many times, and then on these earlier videos I've done, that somebody else has to step up and take the load from Lamar Jackson because he can't carry the team, and he got hurt, he's injured, and showing that the team cannot function, cannot win without him. They can function. Huntley definitely has proven that he's definitely a quality backup quarterback because he took it to Green Bay. That defense has something to prove as well, but so does the Rams. The Rams have that right now on paper, an all-star cast of defensive players, host of players that's going to just dominate, and it's going to be the same issue. Stafford's got to find ways to shake off some bad performances he's done and get back into the form, especially with a Cup and Odell. So I think the Rams is going to Baltimore and just handle business. I think it's going to end Baltimore's playoff hopes, and I had them going to playoffs. So yeah, there's that. All right, next up, the Broncos head down to L.A. in their last gash effort to keep their playoff hopes alive as they take on the Chargers. And San Diego's got to bounce back from their. Excuse me. Wow, a little flashback there. The Chargers got bounced back to avenge their embarrassment they did in Houston against the Texans. And they're going to come out firing against Denver. And it's going to be a bad day for being a Broncos fan. It's going to be a long day. Chargers right now favored by 6.5. I think they'll win by 7 at least. And speaking of the Texans, now they're going to head out to San Francisco with Garoppolo's thumb issue. He may start. I would definitely go with a more no and kind of go with Trey Lance on this one and have Jimmy G as the backup. So the emergency backup case, something happened to Trey Lance, then you throw in Garoppolo. But the 49ers should be able to thrive on this one. Houston's probably going to do some things and make some things sound interesting. Houston's kind of find their own little weird little identity without Deshaun Watson, and the defense is actually kind of good with the old Lovie Smith, but it's actually going to be too much. They really need to start winning to really solidify their playoff chances, and the 49ers are going to beat the Texans. Right now they're favored by 12.5. And then one of the big games of the week, the Cardinals will make their way to Dallas. The Cardinals right now are 7-1 away from Glendale. So they got one of the best road teams out there, but they have been struggling. They just keep losing. And with the talent that Dallas has, especially on defense, Michael Parsons is he's a jack of all trades on defense. I mean, you put him as the defensive end, you put him as a linebacker, drops back into coverage. No matter what this guy does, he affects the play. Trevion Diggs in the back in the secondary, just a interception machine. They have Lawrence back, bringing havoc from the defensive line. So all in all, that Dallas defense is stacked, is performing at a very high level thanks to Quinn. And the offense looked extremely good against Washington, but it's Washington. So I'm hoping that the elements that were there, Zeke wasn't limping. He was actually performing very, very well. Dak looked comfortable in the pocket, doing all that. I wonder if Chandler Jones and that Arizona front can actually disrupt Dak a bit to change the outcome of this game. But there's too many weapons in Dallas's arsenal to really affect that. Arizona's looked the same without Hopkins. And I don't know. I don't know what happened with Arizona losing DeAndre Hopkins. Just shattered the season because they lost him before and they were fine. And they lost Murray as well, and they were still winning. But now Murray's back, Hopkins is gone. Now this team can't function. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe teams found ways to finally corral Murray. Maybe they found ways to kind of cover everyone in the secondary because A.J. Green's not quite the same. Then you can get Hurts as well coming out of the tight end, has to really establish himself as a prime target for Murray. So there's just so many different aspects in this one, and I debated with myself with this one. I almost went with Arizona because Arizona does seem to do well in Dallas, which is kind of weird. But way their Cardinals are playing, the way the Cowboys are playing, I gotta go with Dallas in this one. Then the Panthers will head down to New Orleans. Sam Darnold's been named a starter. Burrow just can't seem to find the right combination with quarterback. Cam Newton's 0-5 right now since returning. Sam Darnold it's just not. He hasn't been that good either. It's PJ Walker. This team has just been an absolute nightmare this year. Of course, losing McCaffrey for the rest of the year doesn't help either. So they're definitely gonna be looking for a running back in this offseason. But they're going against a Saints team that's looking to maintain their hopes for the playoffs. So they need to win this to continue on with their chances. And you guys see if Trevor Siemian or Taysom Hill be back, because Ian Book, even though a decent Notre Dame quarterback, was just running for his life from the Dolphins. He didn't have any success. But I think with the Carolina's defense, if he does start, he'll definitely have a better chance with the Carolina's defense than they did with Miami's. We still got Alvin Kamara back there, the jack of all trades for the Saints offense. So, and the Saints defense got to look to step up and assert their dominance against Carolina. So this is going to be, I think it's going to be a long day for the Panthers. Right now, the Saints are favored by 6.5. I'll go in the low end on that one, but I'm still picking the Saints. And then Detroit will take their circus up to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. The Seahawks got to rival back from actually being embarrassed by Chicago last week. The game they should have dominated, and they let Chicago hang around. With this one, I think Detroit's going to do the same thing. They're going to find themselves within striking distance most of this game. Right now, Seattle's favored by 7.5. I don't see this being that far apart. Detroit plays teams very, very tight, and there's be no exception this week. And I think Seattle's going to win this one, but definitely going to be 3 points or less. And then Minnesota heads up to Lambeau Field. Minnesota will be out without Kirk Cousins on this one. He has tested positive, so he's out. Aaron Rodgers is hinting of him not being in Green Bay anymore and possibly even retiring. And there's just too much going on right there in Green Bay for Minnesota to even have a chance. Dalvin Cook should be back. Thielen's out. You still got Jefferson. I mean, there's just a lot of different pieces on that Minnesota offense, but losing Kirk Cousins will probably hamper that. But Minnesota should make it a contest early, but Green Bay will pull away. And right now, Green Bay is favored by 6.5. And yeah, this is definitely going to be one of these games that they're probably going to put up a lot of points, a lot of Lambeau leaps, and the Packers to beat the Vikings. Then we off to Monday night, the last Monday night, the regular season. This is, like I said earlier in this video, Big Ben's last regular season game in Heinz Field, as the Steelers will play host to Baker Mayfield and the Browns. This is going to be a playoff eliminator matchup. If you lose, you're preparing for next season. If you win, your playoff hopes are alive. So is your chances winning the AFC North, especially if Cincinnati loses. And there's just a lot of aspects to go with this one. You can see got Big Ben, Najee Harris, Claypool on that offense for Pittsburgh and Cleveland side. You still have Landry, you have Baker Mayfield, you got Chubb, you got Hunt. I mean, there's a lot of pieces there. Both defenses are stacked. Clowney and Myles Garrett right there on the front for Cleveland. Brain fart there. And if he's healthy, TJ Watt will be very disruptive on the Pittsburgh front. But that's problem with TJ Watt. He's had some issues with injuries. Hasn't really played full games. He always seems to start, then it kind of tapers off a bit. And with that being said, it's just one of these things. I think Baker's going to find ways to keep Pittsburgh in this. This is what he does. But there's just too much of that Cleveland defense that's going to hamper Pittsburgh's attack. This is definitely going to be a defensive showdown between these two. Right now, Cleveland is favored by 3.5. And I think it's going to be a 3-point or less affair. And I will also go with Cleveland, knocking off Pittsburgh and keeping their chances at the postseason alive. But I have a feeling Cleveland will be able to make it. But, I had high hopes for them earlier in the season, and this has been a very huge disappointment for the Browns. Even to make the playoffs, they should be a lot better than this. But anyways, I digress. Well, those are my picks, but before I close this video out, I have to go ahead and do a tribute to the late, great John Madden. He was the voice for pretty much of football when I was younger. Just listen to his antics, describing things, just talking about weird stuff, but he made the game entertaining. He knew things. He knew about the concussion issues with players and how they shouldn't play. And it's taken NFL years to catch up to what he saw back there in, the 80s. And him and Pat Summerall, that great dynamic duo they had for a long time. And then he also did some stint with Al Michaels, because John Madden actually was a commentator on all 4 of the major networks that covered the NFL. Great voice for the NFL. He put his name to a football franchise video game that really helped propel him even further in the younger generation. Because I remember, not many people remember that he coached the Oakland Raiders to a Super Bowl championship. That's before my time, but I knew about that. And great Hall of Famer, great person to be around. Great voice to have, especially on Thanksgiving dinner, and he would definitely be sorely missed. He was, like I said, the voice in the NFL for many, many years, and there'd be no one else like him up there. There'd be a lot of pretenders, but no one can ever be able to replace John Madden when he's done. So him and Pat Summerall probably sitting there coaching, probably commentating, probably the greatest game ever with all the other greats. So, thank you, John, for what you did. Definitely be sorely missed, and certain individuals definitely carry on what you have started in the booth. Well, like I said, these are my picks. Let's see if I can do another double-digit win week. We're very close to the end because next week is only all Sundays, no nightcaps and nothing like that. They're doing nothing special, no primetime matchups. So it's all Sunday, all day long. To really hamper home, who is in and who is out. But hey, just let me know who you think is going to win this weekend. Which one of these games you're really looking forward to seeing. Like I said, there's some good matchups in there, like the Arizona-Dallas game, Cleveland-Pittsburgh, Minnesota-Green Bay, Rams and Ravens. I mean, you got some good matchups coming up, so definitely got to pay attention to that. And, while you're there, like I said, you can smash that thumbs for me. Please with the YouTube guys. You can also subscribe. Once you subscribe, hit that bell notification. Let you know next time I post a video. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.